All right. E-Cars Part 2. E-Cars Part 2 to beleaguer a point. Are they efficient? Let's talk about where the hydro comes from. In Ontario, we have natural gas generating stations, facilities, plants, whatever they are. What percentage of efficiency does that furnace burn at? Let's say it's 95%. Burn natural gas, make hydro, ship it down the hydro lines, lose 50%. Pump it into your car, lose another 20%. We have cars that run on natural gas. Maybe it would be more efficient if we didn't have all that loss and transmission along the way. Worth thinking about. Again, where do they think the hydro comes from? Not very much of it's green. We've seen my other videos about solar and wind turbines. We don't have any green energy. We're not there yet as a society, as a people, as a culture, science. It's just not there. Nuclear, well, yeah, there's storage problems and Chernobyl with these things and tsunamis, and yeah, there's problems with that. How's it green? This energy, you make it here, you pipe it over there, and you lose stuff on way. And then the car, oh, there's no emissions coming out of its tailpipe. No, it's all condensed over there where you generated it. Run the car on natural gas. I think I've said it before. YouTube I saw, they got to set up a filling station, a charging station en route somewhere to set up a gap in between one and the other. So they put a diesel generator there. So they truck the diesel to the generator. How efficient is the generator? Losses again, boom, boom, boom. Oh, but the green e-car plugs in there and charges up. Oh, boy, I'm sleeping better at night. You ever notice it isn't poor people who buy e-cars? It's wealthy people. It's all about that subsidy. I worked for a guy once, I'm not going to say who, where, when. I said, why did you buy that Lincoln Cross hybrid thing? He goes, oh, I don't use the hybrid thing, I just run it on the gas. I said, well, why did you buy it? He said, oh, I get a $15,000 tax rebate on it. Oh, great. Somebody just reached into my pocket and said, oh, you can subsidize that guy's truck. Whoa. I'm liking that. And then the batteries, beleaguering the point again. Those things are not green. How did they make them? Did they make them with other batteries? No, they used petroleum products. They dug a hole in the ground, they took stuff out, they shipped stuff. Those ships don't run on the sun. They run on diesel fuel. Ship stuff all over the place, willy-nilly, everything else, and then here's your battery. It has a life expectancy, and then it becomes a nasty, toxic thing that we really just are going to pile up. I don't know, I guess we set them down beside the nuclear waste. Let's keep it all in one place. It's all nasty stuff. How do you figure your e-car is green? How do you figure that? I don't get it. Mini Cooper. They have a little Mini Cooper gas car. They have a little Mini Cooper electric car. The electric car weighs way more than the gas car. It takes more energy to propel it down the road. Weighs more. Must have cost more to make. Probably sells for more. New technology costs more than old technology. But let's go back to, everybody's on this e-car bandwagon. In Europe, they have target dates, by such and such, 25, 25, 25, 30. Everything's going to be electric. I don't see anybody out there doubling up the hydro lines to sling. I don't see them building new generating stations. Has anybody thought and said, and somebody out there can do this, I'm sure, how many gallons of fuel say just to make it easy, because the figures are probably there and more readily available, let's look at the trucking industry. Say, okay, in America, Canada, North America, pick one, how many gallons of diesel fuel do we burn shipping all the stuff that we ship willy-nilly all over the place? Turn that into energy, turn that into hydro. If all the trucks, just the trucks, not the passenger cars, not the toys, not everything else, just the trucking industry, because, well, hey, we need that. Gotta keep everything moving, gotta have those bananas. Okay, now I know people are gonna say, well, you're talking about trucks, we're talking about cars, passenger vehicles. Well, okay, I'm just saying, the diesel and the trucking industry would have some stats that we could capture and start with and work with. If they were all converted tomorrow, all that diesel energy, that diesel fuel energy was converted to hydro, and we popped it onto the grid. Here, we'll just plug that in. Is the grid gonna take it? You have a hard time convincing me that so. And again, I'm using the trucking and the diesel because I think those figures are easier to capture. I mentioned in the precluding video to this, we'll call this part 2, beleaguering electric cars. My roommate in his daily commute, some rough figures we tossed around, it shows we'd use as much hydro as the house uses in a day, an average day, to charge his car to go back and forth on his 40-mile commute. Well, it's one car. We're actually a 2-car household, but you know, most houses are 2 at least. So his commute would use as much energy, as much hydro, as what it does to run our house on a daily basis. So that's going to pretty well be a working sort of baseline for anybody. So you take your house, you say, well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in our house. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more times the hydro. So if this math is even an approximate reality, if you said, well, okay, so for each car, I double my house's consumption. My house, my neighbor's house, the neighbor down the street, everybody on the street now has electric cars. Well, they all just doubled or tripled or quadrupled their input, their need for electricity. Oh, half the charges at work. Well, it doesn't matter, it's all in the same grid. Where does this energy come from? Is it green? Well, there is no green energy, we know this. Can the grid support it? Doesn't look like it. And again, so how do the powers that be think we're going to do this? Primary question, is it green? Well, apparently that's infinitely arguable. In my mind, it's not. You're taking this energy, you're converting it to that energy, you're transferring it this way, converting it to that energy, and then actually driving down the road with it. Losses along the way, inarguable losses, whether it's through transmission, just your normal everyday battery drain. Batteries dissipate energy sitting there. You know, sure, in August they don't dissipate much. In February, they dissipate a lot. But again, every time, there is no perpetual motion machine. There's losses in each transfer. And that's all we're doing. What was that snapping on my stove? Anyways, there's losses at each point. So, you know, we use petroleum products to harvest the minerals we need for the batteries. We used petroleum products to build the batteries, to ship the batteries, to ship the products that built the batteries, to ship, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, can somebody do some kind of a video where they say, you know, how much energy, what carbon footprint did it leave to build this battery? And the car has 62 of them, or whatever it has. How long would that car have to run on those batteries, not including all the transmission losses and all the other stuff, before it paid for itself in a green sense? I don't think the battery's lifespan has it in it. They don't. Now, they've made great strides forward in charging them, fast charging. But the faster you charge them, again, they've made great strides and they're working diligently towards it. The faster you charge them, it shortens their lifespan. So, you know, how often are you going to need a fast charge? If you're traveling, you sure do. Again, they've got to sit in a heated environment. You know, these guys do their costs. Oh man, I'm saving this much money. I haven't had, you know, I don't have oil changes. So the oil isn't, you know, oh, it's greener, less carbon footprint. It all just kind of piles up at the end. Yeah, you save, and then you get this big bill, this big carbon footprint bill. Wasn't in your math when you started. There you rich guy doing your, you know, I'm saving so much money buying this expensive electric car. Well, what was the footprint at the start? That's not in your math. You've only got your math while you operate the thing. And then what's the carbon footprint at the end when this little toxic waste dump has to be dealt with? And then along the way, you know, you're saying, well, I'm paying, you know, X kilowatts an hour as opposed to, you know, X dollars per liter, I'm saving money. Well, you know, you're saving money in the middle, a little bit. Mostly about the only thing saving anything, is the subsidy that came out of my pocket. And you're not at the end of the line yet here, Charlie, with your electric car. You know, here I am a year later. Oh, I figure I've saved $1,200. Okay, well, wait until the oscillating fibrillator melts, and that's not under warranty. See what your bill is for that, because again, the guy working on it is risking getting toasted to a cinder, not just a skinned knuckle. Why is the resale value on these things no good? Well, because they don't get the tax break, the subsidy. Anybody who bought them, that's half the reason they bought them. You know, they sat down with their pencil and said, oh, I'm going to save $1,200 a year on fuel, and, you know, I'm going to save another $1,000 a year on maintenance, and, whoa, I get this huge tax subsidy. Woo, it's looking good. Well, let's see what happens with that car a couple of years down the road, especially here in southern Ontario, or just about anywhere in Canada where we salt the roads. Let's see how that's going to work. Tesla, top of the line, big bucks. Resale value, 40% a year later. 2 years later, you try and give the thing away. Nobody wants it. All your top-end car manufacturers, Porsche, Mercedes, Audi, they're all in there. They're very short to be in there. Everybody's jumping in with both feet. They're building batteries like crazy. Wow, they're building batteries everywhere. They're shipping stuff. They're going wild. They're, you know, battery manufacturing. Oh, wow. You buy some stock in that. I may make some money there. You're not going to make it in the savings of your car. Again, it comes down to our politicians buying green votes. Really. I mean, how does anybody think this is going to work? How do you think it is green? It's not green. It's not green from start. Operation, down the line to the end of the vehicle's lifespan. And again, where does the hydro come from? And how do we get it there? Can our grid support it? you know, the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. If every household replaced one of their internally combusted engines, conventional vehicles, whatever you want to call it, if every one of those houses just put one electrical vehicle into their fleet, plugged it in, could the grid handle it? You'd be hard pressed to sell that one on me. I don't think so. Excuse me, I really don't think so. So, and then you're going to say, well, by 2030, there'll be no propane or petrol vehicles. It's all going to be electric. Whoa, that should look after the global depression on copper prices, don't you think? Because they're going to have to mine a bunch of that, ship it here with, well, we don't seem to have electric boats yet. They run on diesel. Yeah, it's going to do good for the, buy some shares in a copper mine, because we're going to have to sling a lot more cable around to pump into all these cars. And then we have the smart meters trying to encourage you to use electricity in off-peak times. Well, the poor schmuck who owns the electric car, he's got to get to and fro from work. The car needs charged. Every time it's not moving, it needs charged. He hasn't got time to say, oh, well, I'll put a timer on and the car will charge in the off hours. That's what we do with our washing machine. It works good. The dishwasher, we run it all after hours. Well, you drive to work, you ain't got enough hydro to get back home in your car. You're going to have to plug it in at work. And unless you work midnights, you work days, well, that's on peak. So again, we just, for every little electric car that they want us to have, that demand goes on to the grid. Where does the hydro come from? I don't know. They're really big on them in Europe, and I mean, I'm a headline skimmer. When I read the newspaper, I read the headlines. I guess I'm a scroller now, right? Scroll through the headlines. So, a lot of people are going to comment and say, well, big hole in your theory here, you're not taking this into account there. I'm sure there is, absolutely. Would almost have to be. But again, take a county, take a city, take a province, take a country, and tell me where that hydro is going to come from, how you think it's green, because we've yet to generate any green electricity. Will our grid, their grid, that grid support it? Probably no. I'd say no. I can't see anywhere who says, "Oh, we've got a super grid, man. We can quadruple our population and generate hydro like crazy, man. We got so many wires running everywhere. We're not even using a fraction of it." No, everybody's struggling to keep their grid up to the growing, this infinite growth concept. Another of my rants and rambles. I don't see a comprehensive plan here. This isn't, sounds green, so everybody jumps on the bandwagon. And, green initiatives, politics, buy votes. Nah, just can't see it, people. I just can't. So anyways, that finishes my e-car rant and ramble.